You are listening to the Average Pundits podcast on your favorite streaming platform.
Hiya guys, and welcome back to the Average Pundits podcast, your home of all things Premier League. But it's the Euros. We're well underway for the Euros now. We've had a little bit of a break, but we are back with some Euro coverage. And you know, we were saying the other day, this is honestly, like, considering the season we've just had, it's like a real exciting time for football. And you know, you're seeing fans back in stadiums, you're seeing real good quality stuff on the pitch, and there's an awful lot to break down. Obviously, we've only had the first lot of games that's come through now, but so much has happened. A lot of good, a lot of bad, but we will be breaking it down for you. But I am, of course, joined by Reese, as always. How you doing, Reese?
Good. I'm trapped in a box for any video watchers on YouTube. If you listen to the one on Spotify or Apple Podcast, you're fine. You don't have to see the awful box. But we've had a lot of technical difficulties in the past. Well, I have, anyways, in the past like 12 hours trying to record this. But we're back. We're fit and firing. I'm recording this on an iPhone. Well, this like my portion. Joe's got the full setup, so I need to take a trip to big PC world to try and get something. But yeah, the Euro. I just want to touch on something that you said, just like in terms of the season that we just had in the Premier League was so weird that like. If this football that we're having, it feels fresh, it feels new. Like, I don't know what it is about international tournaments, but it feels exciting. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of the group games. Like, I'm pretty sure we've had a full cycle now of group games as this goes out. And today we've got the rest of it. We've got two Group A games and a Group B game. So that's very exciting. Well, by the time that this goes out, so I think two of those games will have been played. One will actually be ongoing. Yeah. I think I've watched more football now than I have done. Like the Premier League, there's too much going on in one day. Whereas you got three games a day. It's nothing too much, and plus you don't see Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes playing that often, do you?
I mean, that's one of the benefits of international football, and that you see link-ups that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And I think right now Portugal, France, they're two of the teams right now which I'm personally backing to go on and do it, besides England, because obviously it's coming home. But but Portugal and France, they're definitely up there as well. But like I said, there has been a lot of exciting football. Obviously, first game, Italy versus Turkey, a 3-0 win for Italy. What a way to start off. What a way to start off. And I think the Italians, for quite a while now, have kind of been maybe undervalued. I think there's been quite a lot of hit and misses with the Italian side, and a lot of the icons of yesteryear have kind of like faded now. They've kind of retired and moved on. But I think that team, specifically the Italians, I'm looking forward to seeing them play more, because they've got a lot of good players in that squad.
They've got a cracking team. Like the back line is a bit old. The centre back partnership, Bonucci and Chiellini. Chiellini's moving up to like mid-30s now. The nose just keeps getting bigger on that lad. So. I think with that, Ciro Immobile up top, he's a natural born goal scorer. You've got the silky fast winger of Mauro not Mauro, it's Lorenzo Insigne, not Mauro. I was about to say Mauro Ranallo, the boxing commentator. Insigne on the wing. You got Pereira in the middle, kind of playing that Pirlo role almost. And I think that. This Italian team, while it is young, is one of the dark horses, but they opened up with a 3-0 win. Yeah. They're a very good side. And if we get them on our journey to the final, even if it's in the final, then, it's going to be a difficult task to try and overcome. But that's the thing with a lot of these teams, though. There's going to be a lot of difficulty in trying to overcome it. But we got some redemption for the 2018 World Cup with a win over Croatia. So maybe positive things are on the horizon.
We did. Well, they may well be on the horizon. You mentioned England with the 1-0 win, fellow Great British area as well with Wales. They drew 1-1 in their first game. Pretty standard, really. I think Dan James had a pretty good game in that, so, repping the boys.
The only annoying thing about that game was Robbie Savage. For all those that watched that game, you will know the pain of listening to Robbie Savage on commentary. He did it in the Champions League final as well, though. He was like, "Oh, come on, Wales." Was it Wales or was it the Europa? Oh no, it was the Europa League final. where he's cheering on Dan James when he scored the penalty. He's like, "Come on, Wales!" Like, shut up, Robbie Savage.
Yeah. Well, then you've got obviously the Wales-Switzerland game ending 1-1. Moving on, obviously the biggest talking point, Finland's 1-0 win over Denmark, but obviously talking about it for all the wrong reasons. But thank God he's okay. And if you have been living under a rock, you know, this has gone outside of football now. Everyone knows what happened, obviously. Christian Eriksen collapsing on the pitch, the Danish national team huddling around him, and Simon Kjær performing heroics on the pitch, making sure Eriksen hadn't swallowed his tongue and putting him in the recovery position, which did probably in fact save his life. And then I think it was one defibrillator which brought him back to consciousness. But absolutely terrifying. That's a footballer in his prime physical fitness. You never know. You never know.
It was there was a really, really nice video online. Well, not nice video, but like quite heartwarming. Where there was a guy watching the Denmark game after he heard about Eriksen.
Yeah.
And he was mortified, but then he realized that they were going to use the defibrillator that he made.
Yeah.
And as soon as that he was told that he was nursed back to health, he just started tearing up. And I was like, this is probably one of the most wholesome videos of the year.
Yeah.
Because, you know, yeah, like you said, it was nothing to do with football, but like to be that emotionally invested in someone that you probably don't really know that much about is really something.
Yeah, well, you saw it go beyond the realms, didn't you? So every single person, I think Romelu Lukaku dedicated his goal. I think I saw Heung-min Son dedicate his goal.
Yeah,
you know, outside of the Euros, obviously, but there's a lot of, you know, and there's been far more as well. It has touched absolutely everybody, but thank God he is okay. But a lot of controversy around that game. A lot of the Danish players feel they were very harshly treated for having to go back out and play that game on the day, as opposed to maybe having a bit more of a break. But at the end of the day, Finland did come away with the 3 points. Your opinions on that game, let us know. Get in touch with us in the normal channels. We will leave everywhere. You can contact us below. But moving on, a far more convincing win, Belgium beating Russia 3-0. Lukaku scoring a double. I think a lot of people are picking Lukaku to have a really good Euros.
Of course, you can't stop the shine. You can't stop the shine. Bolingoli is coming.
Yeah.
He is unreal. And United are idiots for getting rid of him.
See, again, it's this narrative. Not idiots for getting rid of him. The system wasn't working. Whoever thought that Lukaku wasn't going to work at another club is an idiot. Those are the real idiots. He's a world-class striker. He was always going to work. It just wasn't, for whatever reason, gelling with United. He still was really good for us.
And then you build the system around Lukaku, and then he scores goals. It's exactly what Inter did. And they won the Serie A.
Yeah, now they're losing all their players. So, you know,
that is true.
Everything has a flip.
You can't stop the shine, and Lukaku's going to Chelsea. Mark my words.
So sooner or later, we will be getting back into our transfer content as well, which, you know, we are absolutely buzzing for, because the transfer window is well and underway now. But obviously, the Euros right now is the priority focus. So we will be covering a bit more of that as well. But obviously, moving on now. Yeah, England's 1-0 win over Croatia. And in case you haven't realised, yes, Reece does own an England shirt. Yeah,
I only own one. That's why I'm putting it up.
But yeah, it's Raheem Sterling's first goal in an international tournament. And overall in that game, I wasn't blown away. I was impressed by some individual performances on that pitch. I was a very questionable lineup when I first saw it. I wasn't too happy seeing Trippier at left back. It kind of confused me, but we won the game, so Southgate got it right, I guess.
You see, I was questioning Trippier too, but I see it as a smart employment because you're not going to move Walker from right back, and no one else on that pitch can take a free kick.
Yeah,
so
have him.
And because Southgate was an idiot and didn't take James Ward-Prowse, so I think playing Trippier at left back, he's got a dedicated set piece taker.
Yeah,
you have someone that, you know, against Croatia has scored a free kick. So I mean, he had the opportunity, he just couldn't quite convert it at the time. So, you know, if you have Grealish playing on that left hand side as well, you've got a deadly combo. You've got a ball, you know, you've got a foul winning player in Jack Grealish, and someone who can put those set pieces in. So for me, I think while at the time Luke Shaw might have been maybe obvious considering the season he's had, I think Kieran Trippier, I mean, he didn't have a bad game.
No, he didn't. You know, he performed really well. Like I said, I think Southgate did get it right. I mean, we've had some pretty rubbish news. Obviously, Dean Henderson was withdrawn from the squad now with injury, which is a real shame because realistically, I think he was probably fighting Jordan Pickford for that number one spot. But Pickford had a really good game for Croatia, but Dean Henderson's got to go back to United, and he's going to work on that injury because everyone wants to see him succeed well in an England shirt. So hopefully he can get over this pretty quick. But it means Ramsdale's been called up, which I wasn't expecting that. I mean, where we normally have Pickford, Pope, and Henderson, when we've now got Pickford, Sam Johnston, and Ramsdale. I would have sooner called up Cardalo then.
Honestly, why would you call up two goalkeepers that have conceded like loads of goals all season and have got relegated with their clubs? Call up Cardalo. Yeah, he's been great with a really shaky Newcastle defence. I think that he filled in so well with Newcastle when Dubravka was injured, and you look at arguably our two best goalkeepers are now injured. Like I would have been playing Henderson over Pickford if he had more international experience. Pope would have been my number one choice, but he's injured. So to be fair, the Pickford does kind of turn it up when he does play for his country. When he's playing for Everton, he's definitely worse. But
that's what I was
I'm hoping he has a better tournament.
His best performances 100% probably have been in an England shirt, Pickford, and I think that's why a lot of people do still stick with him as their number one, because he rarely puts a foot wrong in an England shirt. So fingers crossed he can go and have a strong performance like he did at the World Cup. But England versus Croatia, obviously the result, it was the match was pretty even on the stats board, but it was Sterling who was able to tip us over the line. So we'll take the 3 points, and obviously we have Scotland coming up very soon as well, which is going to be a very exciting game. But we'll talk about Scotland in a little second. But we'll move on. Austria versus North Macedonia, another bit of a weird match. But one thing that was quite funny, obviously 3-1 Austria took the win, but Pandev has become the youngest goal scorer in an international tournament for North Macedonia at 37.
I was just say, I was thinking isn't he like 30 something?
He's the youngest and only. But fair play to them. They went out there and they gave it a game. So fair enough. But one of the weird talking points in that game, obviously, I'm not going to comment too much on this, it's just worth mentioning, was Marko Arnautovic. Obviously, he scored the third and final in the 89th minute for Austria, but there was a lot of talk over a celebration. Like I said, you can't really go into it until you know the full details, but Alaba was quite keen to shut whatever was going on down. He was celebrating pretty angrily. And I've heard loads of conflicting reports about whatever his celebration, if it had some kind of meaning, whatever that is. Honestly, you'll have to wait and see what happens, because I've heard so many reports. We're not going to sit here and start giving our opinions on that. You will going to wait for the facts, but signs aren't pointing good to whatever was going on there. And Arnautovic has got a bit of a hot head anyway, so at the best of times, but we'll wait and see what happens with that, because a lot of people are asking UEFA to intervene for whatever might have gone on there. But onto a far more interesting game as well. 3-2 with Netherlands versus Ukraine. What a game!
Honestly, so I was watching this game live. It was kind of dual willing. I was watching the gaming E3 event that was going on at the time, but I was also watching the Netherlands Ukraine game. And oh my goodness, it was everywhere. It was absolutely everywhere, back and forth. Yarmolenko's goal, can we just give that up? Like one of the goals of the tournament. So, well, I say that, then one of the goals of the tournament is probably happened in a couple of games after that. So, well, I mean, what a game that was! What a game!
Mental. A lot of people were picking Ukraine to have quite a surprising campaign. I mean, it's such a shame they couldn't get a point off that, because what a performance against such a formidable international opposition. It doesn't really paint the full picture. They probably should have got a point off that, but the Netherlands are a very strong team. They've been a bit off in recent years, but they've got a good young core of their team now. So it'll be really exciting to see how they perform at this tournament.
They've got a really, really good team. However, they are being coached by arguably one of the worst Premier League managers to grace the league, in Frank de Boer.
Big Frank, yeah.
Like, he was terrible.
What is it with the Franks in the Premier League that just can't hack management?
I was going to say, they should probably just all stick to punditry like Lampard did.
Have a no Frank rule.
Yeah. To be frank with him, I don't think they've got it cut out. But yeah, they've got, Memphis Depay was great. Gini Wijnaldum's a great captain. He's going to be moving on to PSG after Barcelona just ran out of money, apparently.
Yeah.
And then they've got Frankie de Jong, who has also been one of the gems at Barcelona. He's going to be one of the best centre midfielders in the world pretty soon. I'm guessing he's a very young player. Dumfries as well at that right back position. He's one of the best attacking right backs in the Euro so far, I think. And I think that his goal was definitely it was a reward for him playing very well. So of course it was a very good game, and it was just turn after turn after turn, and more goal. That's definitely going to be in the running for one of the games of the tournament.
Definitely. Moving on to the Monday, let's move on to Czech Republic versus Scotland, shall we? My God.
What a goal by Willany.
19 shots for Scotland, 4 on target. 10 shots for the Czech Republic, 7 on target. And 2 of those resulted in goals from Patrick Schick. One of those was, again, arguably goal of the tournament. It's going to be, Yarmolenko, wow. But, whenever you see a goal going from the halfway line, I mean, come on.
It's pretty special.
Wasn't there a bit of punditry somewhere which said, like, oh, they were like analysing it, and it was like, oh, now Schick just has the easy job to do, like, the keeper's off his line, and just all he has to do is the easy job of getting it in the back of the net. I'm thinking, what?
Who said that?
I heard it somewhere. I think I saw it on Twitter, and I was thinking, like, what on earth? Because there was an angle that was taken. Honestly, it's worth, if I can find it, we'll have to put it on the pundits Instagram stories. But the angle of the shot was literally, so the goal present here, the ball is like top left corner beyond the goal. That must have curled around and then back in around David Marshall. It was the technique of it, and that Patrick Schick's got a bit of a reputation about him anyway for being quite a good striker. But I mean, this Euros, 2 goals in this game, this campaign for him could be special. This could be huge for him. But I mean, Scotland, realistically, Robertson is the most creative on the pitch, and they've got him at left back. I don't think it will be out of line playing him left wing. I really don't.
Yeah, I remember you saying this because obviously we tried to record last night, but my laptop had a bit of a temper tantrum, and we were on the call before the death of my HP laptop. Rest in peace. I'll put a tribute somewhere. And yeah, you mentioned Robertson at left back, and it makes sense because he's the only one in that Scotland team that can cross a ball. He did all the creative chances. He had one of the first shots of the game for Scotland.
I think realistically, like I said to you yesterday, Tierney and McGinn both offer an awful lot as well. Tierney is fantastic defensively. I think Tierney will get to that stage of being world class. I really do. But right now, obviously he is in Robertson's shadow a bit in terms of that position. But McGinn, great creative player. We're both fans of John McGinn in the Premier League. He's a very good little player. And Scott McTominay, Manchester United experience as well. They have got good players embedded in that team. But Robertson is the main creative drive. And if Tierney can also fill in at left back, I don't know why you would try it for the more tough games, especially against England. You're going to be wanting to take any chance you can get. They've got Che Adams as well, who's changed nationality up front. And he hasn't been the most prominent player in the Premier League by any means. But I feel like, he still is, a poacher of the ball. If Robertson can get those crosses in properly, because he was putting in crosses galore, but just no one was there. No one was meeting those crosses. So we'll have to see if they can turn it on a bit against England. But, that's going to be an interesting game. But you good?
That was very, very, very loud bus going past.
Oh, fair. I was going to say, don't worry, we didn't hear anything.
March forward.
Moving on, Slovakia versus Poland, a bit more of an interesting game. It was a Szczesny own goal to kick it off. A Szczesny own goal. Poland as well, equalising, and then I'm pretty sure Skriniar got the winner for Slovakia, but Gregor Krychowiak getting a red card as well. I think, is that the first red card of the tournament?
And there typically isn't too many red cards at the Euros, but yeah, it was a double yellow card. It was a stupid challenge to end the game. Well, it was like it was in the second half, and Poland with 10 men. Lewandowski was missing the entire game. That's really, really key to mention. But yeah, 1-0 up very early on in the first half. Comes off the post, hits Szczesny off the back of the head. I like you, cut G, goes back into the net. And then early into the second half, they equalised, and it was a well taken goal. Easy enough to finish. Krychowiak gets sent off, and Skriniar produces like a striker's finish. He does a really good job of taking the ball down from the corner, turning and shooting. So I think that he's taken that very well, and he's rescued us. The point. He's got 3 points for his side. He's had a very good season. It's topped him off. He's won the Serie A. He's one of the players shortlisted to get a really big move elsewhere. But if he wants to stay at Inter Milan, then fair play to him. He's a very, very good centre back. And he's worthy of a lot of teams in around Europe.
I think a lot of people should be looking at him. I really do. But moving on, Spain, Sweden, a 0-0 draw, maybe a bit underwhelming, but fair play to Sweden. I think Spain might have been the favourites in this, but they held them to a draw, fair enough. And tell you what, a lot of people were criticising this Spain squad when they got called up. It was a bit different to what you're used to seeing. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think our golden generation of Spain had some of the best players in the world, if not the guaranteed nailed-on best players in the world, bar Ronaldo and Messi. Your Iniestas, your Xavis, Ramos, some of the, and that PK. I mean, I'm not. No.
Yeah, pardon?
Fernando Torres.
El Niño.
But I mean, there was some absolute levels for the Spain teams when we were growing up. But I mean, at the moment, I mean, this team that they put out, it was pretty strong. Pau Torres and Laporte. I think that's going to be a formidable pairing this Euros. We're going to have to keep a lot of eyes on that, because especially Laporte changed his nationality, but Pau Torres looking like he could be a United player by the end of the window.
So United are going in for 2 centre backs, are they?
2. I mean, I haven't heard of the second one.
Rafael Varane.
Oh no, that won't happen. I've heard it. I have heard the rumours, but that's not going to happen.
There's a very, very strong rumour. I think he's keen to move as well.
See, I don't know if I know it's probably blasphemous to say, but I don't know if I take him. He's incredible, but there's injury issues there. There's wear and tear. I mean, Pau Torres has just come off the back of beating us and winning the Europa League, and he's also like really young and he's really highly rated. Against us, I was really impressed by him, but we'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, that was a 0-0 game, pretty underwhelming. But we'll have to see what else they can do. A lot more of an exciting game though. Portugal 3-0. These guys have got to be rated as one of the favourites to go on and win the tournament. I think Portugal, obviously winning the last time. So
they scored all in like the last 10 minutes. Like Hungary were matching them for 80 minutes.
I was really impressed by a lot of what I saw in that game. There was some great dribbles in that game from Hungary, and Portugal did struggle. They did struggle to keep them under wraps, but at the end of the day, all that matters that the full-time whistle is the scoreline, doesn't it? So 3-0, Rafael Guerreiro, world-class player, realistically, isn't he? Dortmund have got themselves an absolute diamond there.
Yeah, he's a decent player playing left back. He can play left mid as well. He can play centre midfield.
I think
it was a bit unlucky for the deflection, because it was a well taken strike, but it would have been hit straight at the keeper if it didn't come off the defender. So I think they were very unlucky to go 1-0 down there.
But then obviously Cristiano Ronaldo making Euros history, as he so often does, scoring those 2.
Portugal have got 2 penalty merchants, haven't they?
Yeah, they do. They do indeed. But yeah, Ronaldo is now the all-time leading Euros scorer with 11, beating Platini's record of 9, I believe. So, the man is just absolutely incredible, isn't he? But
he's not a man.
No,
he is not a man.
He is not.
In the words of Drax, he's not a man. That is a dude.
But obviously, this group, Portugal, France, Germany, and Hungary, Hungary, fair play to them for holding out as long as they did. They've got a tough group. not going to be fun. But
there was a really funny video I saw, and it was like France, Germany, and Portugal.
Yeah.
And it was the scene from Madagascar where it's like, obviously like the main characters, and then it's that little animal thing, and it's the lion that goes hi there, and then it's Hungary that just starts crying.
Yeah,
everyone go and find out some Hungary memes. It's very, very funny. I'm not doing it justice. I never do. If it's not funny when you explain jokes, come on.
You got to embed them. But then the final game of the first round, which we were going to record after yesterday, we wanted to both were very keen to watch this one, France versus Germany, and France got the win. I assume they'd get the win, but maybe not in this fashion. It was a Mats Hummels 1-0 own goal. I mean, realistically, you could see exactly what he was trying to do, but you have to want. It was quite questionable decision making, but it rifled it into the top. It was a fantastic goal.
If Hummels didn't get to it, then Mbappe would have. So it was a split-second decision. I reckon if he would have got a clean connection with it and it didn't come off his shin, I think it could have been cleared. But no, Mbappe would have got to it if he didn't intervene. But so he had to do something. Yeah, it was decision making, and that's what happens when you have a 32-year-old at centre back.
Yeah, pretty much. And there was 2 correctly ruled out offside goals for France as well, with Mbappe and Benzema. But both of those goals were so well offside. I mean, Mbappe they called fairly quick, but Benzema they let him celebrate. They let every single person on the French national team hug him. They were going back towards the halfway line, and then they called it. And I was just like, it was so evidently offside as well. Yeah. Obviously, I know they have to do a bit of reasonable doubt, and they do have a very tough job. But sometimes it's what we've been saying all season for VAR and the liners. It's been so long to get the correct decision for offside, so it's been a bit of they're damned if they do and damned if they don't, really. But a 1-0 win for France. Germany do have a lot more to show. I don't think that represents them as a side, really. They are up against arguably the toughest opposition in the tournament. So, Germany, France, and Portugal, without a doubt, in terms of squad depth, they are the 3 big ones.
We have 3 quarter-final, semi-final game, like final-worthy games in a group stage, and it's awesome to see. Like, everyone's gonna make sure their calendars are marked for each group game. Every single group game for group, whatever their group is, the group of death. I'm just gonna call them the group of death. Yeah. Everyone's gonna watch that. Whether it's Portugal and France next, or France and or Germany and Portugal, whichever one. Yeah. But I was watching. I want to make the point, like, I was watching with a person that used to watch football. He used to be a diehard Albion fan. He used to go to all the games, went to a playoff final. Stopped watching football because it just got a bit boring. And he watched it yesterday. Someone who hadn't watched football in a long time. Yeah. And he was. I just want to add, like, he was very, very impressed with Kylian Mbappe. Yeah. Like, the goal, the offside goal. He blistering pace. Like, one of the things that I took away from that game, there was a ball that was played over, and I thought no one was going to get to it. Mm-hmm. And then off the mark, boom, Mbappe just runs, and he overtakes Matt Hummels, giving about maybe like 10 yards, and it was unbelievable. It really, really was, and I think that was one of the penalty shouts that France could have had. I thought it might have been a penalty.
See, the pace is impressive. It's the initial acceleration for me, which is terrifying, because it's like, you've seen it before. I mean, the only real comparable thing I can really relate to is probably prime Gareth Bale, because he was, we've all seen like the incredibly quick footballers, and there's loads of them, but there is acceleration in the ball, which is what makes them from a quick player to a world-class player. And Gareth Bale, certainly, obviously, when he knocked it around, was it Alba, or was it?
Would it have been Sergio Roberto?
It might have been Sergio Roberto. You know what? I'm pretty sure you're right there. He knocked it around Roberto, obviously ran off the pitch and then back onto it. And that is now like one of the most iconic goals in football history because of his acceleration. It makes no sense. It's incredible. And Mbappe is honestly on that kind of level. I mean, he is just him, and it's such a shame that we're not seeing Haaland at this Euros campaign, because the two of them would have been fantastic to watch. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see more from Mbappe.
I genuinely don't think we've ever seen anything like Mbappe before. Like, I haven't properly sat down and tried to analyze a Kylian Mbappe match, obviously, because we cover the Premier League.
Yeah,
it's tough to get around when there's so many leagues getting played. You're trying to focus on the Premier League, trying to focus on the Bundesliga, Liga, and Serie A. It's terrible.
yeah.
So you don't pay attention because you think PSG are going to win the league every year. So you don't exactly pay much attention to Kylian Mbappe. Obviously I watched the World Cup. He was fantastic in that. Probably I think one of the youngest goal scorers.
Yeah.
I think the first teenager to score in a World Cup final since Pele.
Yeah.
And you look at what he's done so far. He's been amazing. One of the most expensive players in the world in terms of transfer fees. And you start to analyze him, and he's just not human. Yeah. He is not human. He is a athlete. He is he's dangerous. He's so scary. Yeah. He sometimes he goes missing in games, but you think he's 22, 21, 22, almost turning 23, and he is. To be fair, you sometimes forget how young some players are. Like, I forgot Marcus Rashford was only 22, 23 because of how much he's done. Yeah. Not only on the pitch, but also off the pitch as well. Like, he's showing so much maturity that you could mistake him for a 27-year-old.
Well, that's the scary thing now as well. It's that, like, obviously before, even a 21-year-old being called up to the national squad was like a big deal. And it was like, oh my God, this is crazy. We've not seen anything like this. And now we've literally got like Phil Foden, who is genuinely bordering world class at 19. I still think it's a little bit scary to call him that. Yet he's obviously won the Premier League, but I think he's that close to me just saying we're at world class now. And then there's also a 17-year-old Jude Bellingham, who has what I saw, that obviously I think probably everyone's seen that picture now, that guy breaking it down. I think he's had 91 senior appearances across two domestic clubs, obviously Birmingham City and Borussia Dortmund. He has won a Deutsche Pokal at 17 years old. He's the youngest person to be called up to the Euros, I believe, now.
I think so.
And he can't buy Grand Theft Auto on the PlayStation. He can't have a pint. He can't, it's crazy. He is, but like, again, I was a bit like, before the friendlies, I was like, I know he's meant to be incredible, but should we wait a little bit of time, let him grow a bit? We'll see. Maybe when he's 18, it might sound a bit better. But my God, he's so good.
Yeah, like two of our youngest players are arguably the best games of their maybe not the best games of their lives, but they had a really good game. Phil Foden almost scored in like the opening 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was so lucky not to. What a touch!
And I heard the neighbours. So like we were like 30 seconds to a minute behind, and all we heard from the neighbours was, "Oh!" I was like, "Oh no, have we gone behind?" And I see Phil Foden at the post. I was like, "Oh no!" Yeah. So then I got the goal scored for the goal scorer ruined for me too, because I heard that. So I was like, "Okay, wait a minute. There's the through ball." Speaking of young players that had a really good game, Calvin Phillips. I was one of those people that before was like, "Why are we playing Calvin Phillips?"
Yeah,
and that is why. That is why he had a fantastic game. I think he emptied his pockets after the game, and he had Modric in there, he had Perisic in there, whoever they were playing up front. I don't know. I don't think Mandzukic is playing for them anymore.
Well, we obviously, in terms of DM, we've pretty much been just rigid with Jordan Henderson for a while, but now we've got options. And Jordan Henderson obviously is he's got a lot of ability in other areas of the pitch, and obviously he's got seniority over a lot of the players in the team. He knows the role, and he knows what it's like to play for England. But obviously Declan Rice offers you something different, Calvin Phillips offers you something different, and Jordan Henderson offers you something different, which is amazing for us, because having defensive midfield when yet a bit of creativity with options, it's that's quite rare. I think a good quality DM at club level now is so highly sought after. There's so many good Premier League clubs. We tend to quite highly praise the DM role on this podcast, and there's a lot of highly rated DMs, which if you go back and listen to our previous episodes, that we talk about in quite high regard. But whilst we are talking about England, obviously this was the end of match day 1 of 3 for the group stages. So we will now go on to talk about England's preparation for Scotland. Obviously, at the heart, we are England fans. We will be back again next week, breaking down all of the results like we did today. But we will be talking about England's game against Scotland. It's going to be a good one. And I feel like Scotland are going to be, honestly, I think they're going to come a lot more correct than they were against the Czech Republic, because they're going to want to redeem themselves, and they're going to want to show that they are formidable opposition. And also, Wales and Scotland always love getting one over on England. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. But how do you think we're going to line up for this? Do you reckon we're going to go similar? Because I personally think one thing that I can see straight away is we'll probably rest Kane. I think maybe DCL will go up front for that game.
No, I don't think we will. I think we'll start Kane. I think that's the reason why Kane was taken off for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, was because we need to give him a little bit of a break at the end of the half, so he's ready, so he's fit for Friday.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the main thing. I can't see anything else happening. You look at how formidable that attack was. Phil Foden, I think, could start again.
Yeah,
I would start Phil Foden on that right hand side again, because the danger of him cutting over, maybe it depends on if they start Robertson at the left back as well.
Yeah,
because whoever's going to be on that right hand side is going to have a really, really hard time. And you look at can Phil Foden deal with Andrew Robertson?
Yeah,
who knows? And the midfield too. The holding midfielders, Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips, I think could definitely run it back if Southgate wants to play Henderson, or if he wants to go with Phillips again. They are going to have to deal with John McGinn and Che Adams a little bit, and I think that's going to be fine. One thing I have been thinking about, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was fit for this Euros, wasn't he?
He was fit.
It amazes me to kind of wonder why maybe we didn't play Kyle Walker at centre back and bring Aaron Wan-Bissaka with us. I know that Trent Alexander-Arnold was he got in, but Man United finished second. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is one of the best defensive right backs. It's so weird to say defensive right backs because of the way that the right back role has evolved over the last couple of years, but he's one of the best defensive right backs in the world, I'd argue, and we haven't taken him. We needed someone like him, and Kyle Walker slopped into that centre back spot because he's not only is he tall, he's physical, and he's good at defending, he's good at winning the ball, and he's good at distributing it.
Yeah, I mean, with Wan-Bissaka, there's a lot of talk about where the right back will be his position going forward. I think one of the players United, I think, are trying to get over the line in this transfer window. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know. I'm not exactly thrilled by it. I think he has quite a hard rap. I mean, it's Kieran Trippier, if you haven't seen.
Yeah,
it's and I think based on what I think Atletico wanted like 20 million, which realistically is nothing. But like obviously, I think United were trying to get lower. And would I take Kieran Trippier as depth? 100%. But I think the talk is trialing Wan-Bissaka out at centre back as well as right back, which I personally think could happen. I think if United move to a back three, because so often my only criticism of Wan-Bissaka is his tackling and his defensive thought process is fantastic, but his positioning sometimes is dreadful. Like sometimes he obviously does cut in so close to the centre backs that the right back position is completely wide open, and you're thinking that so like that you should realistically be that far wide out, but that's something that could potentially happen. But I feel like he could have been valued, but I for whatever reason Southgate just doesn't feel like he is ready. I mean, obviously, Reece James is a very prominent player, Champions League winner as well, might we add. Kyle Walker, obviously, I think you need to take Kyle Walker. I know a lot of people don't agree, but I do think you need to take him because he is experienced. And then obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, any idiot who thought he wasn't going to the Euros, oh my God, it wound me up so much because all these Liverpool fans going, oh, I swear to God, boycott England if he doesn't. Shut up. He's one of the best players England have. Like, of course he's going. Just calm down. He wasn't selected by Southgate because of form, like for the friendlies, and everyone lost their mind. But like realistically, it was crazy. He was always going. Just shut up. But he's there now, and he will be an extremely valuable player for us going forward. So everyone shut up.
You know what? As a Liverpool fan myself, I second that. Everyone shut up.
Yeah, he was always going. But, it's going to be an interesting one. One man that wasn't in the lineup in the last game, even on the subs bench, was Jadon Sancho. And there was a lot of talk about why that was. I wonder why that was.
He's just not playing very well. in the build. I've seen that's the reason. He wasn't playing very well in the build-up friendlies to the Euros, so I feel like Foden was chosen instead. He's not going to United, Joe.
Do you seriously not think he's going?
Well, I do think he is. I just don't want it to happen.
It's going to happen.
I mean, to be fair, you had a bid rejected because you bid way, way lower than you should have.
Yeah.
I think I would, if I was Borussia Dortmund, I'd have been like, no, you're not having him now. That's an embarrassment.
Well, I think they want 90 million euros. I think
Yeah.
they want around 90 million euros, which is way less than what they wanted last summer. And obviously, I was confident. If you go back and watch all of our transfer talk, and a lot of the journalists we had on, they were confident it was going to happen, but it just came down to the fact that United were, in all fairness, I think smart. They didn't want to get mugged off, and I feel like whatever you're going to pay for him, you're going to pay an awful lot. But we just didn't want to pay over 100. And I don't think we will now. I think we will pay less because realistically, Dortmund are going to lose Jadon Sancho or Haaland, and they're going to lose both of them eventually. But they're going to want to keep Erling Haaland for another season. So I think he is going to come back. There were rumours that that's why he wasn't in the squad for that, because that has happened before. You know, players have been omitted to so they can get transfer business done, but also at the same time, we didn't listen too much in that particular game because obviously Foden was brilliant, and we had Rashford on the bench as well. We had options. So
I mean, Gini Wijnaldum sorting out transfer business with PSG. Same with Gianluigi Donnarumma for Italy as well. He's sorting out business with PSG. So you don't have to be omitted from a squad to be sorting out transfer business. You can do your transfer business however you please, but you can still play for your country, still play well for your country, and not be distracted. You know, Gianluigi Donnarumma kept a clean sheet. Gini Wijnaldum scored.
Well, realistically, I think when Sancho comes on, I mean, I think he's going to have a good Euro campaign. I mean, the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of hype around Foden right now at the moment, and he has played absolutely phenomenally. But I mean, finding his position is very difficult. He's played on the left, he's played on the right, he's played as a centre forward, a centre mid, attacking midfield. He can play a lot of positions, which is really good. But because our midfield is so stacked as well, and obviously we've got Calvin Phillips, we've got Declan Rice.
Oh, we've got Mason Mount as well.
Mason Mount as well. Yeah, again, I'm predicting him to have good Euros as well. I'm fully, you know, he is such a good player.
He's great.
But you know, it's going to be interesting where they all kind of fit in and everything. But I think Sancho we will see him feature very soon, and I'm excited.
I'll probably maybe start him against Scotland, maybe, or maybe bring him on as a sub.
Yeah,
trial him out, and if then we then go and beat Scotland, we're pretty much then nailed on to qualify for the knockout stages, and maybe then we start him against the Czech Republic.
Yeah,
maybe. I think that could be the go ahead. You know, maybe trial out some players, give them the run around, because you know we don't have to play like a B team, because we don't have a B team. Yeah. We have very good players throughout the 23 that were selected.
Yeah.
Well, other than maybe the goalkeeping area, I think the goalkeeping area and the centre back position is where we're probably struggling the most.
Yeah.
Especially, well, they had a good game, Mings and Stones did, but I don't think Tyrone Mings is the one going forward. If I'm being completely honest, that's just my opinion. I do think Maguire is definitely suited there better with Stones, and Tyrone Mings was just selected because he's left-footed. But yeah, I think we've got a very promising team. Phil Foden is going to have a phenomenal tournament. I love his hair. I love the Gaza tribute. I'm, obviously going into the last World Cup, I wasn't very optimistic. Got to the knockout stages, had a lot to drink, to walk about while watching all the games, and we were very, very confident after that. And with the team we have now, we're rebuilding from 2016. Yeah. We were always rebuilding for 2022 because that's we thought we were going to potentially have the World Cup.
Yeah,
obviously it's gone to Qatar, all that shenanigans, and you kind of you look at where our squad's going to be by the next World Cup. Phil Foden's going to have the international experience and maybe a couple more Premier League under his belt. Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling's going to be one of the senior players. So same with Harry Kane. Yeah. Harry Kane's hopefully going to have a couple Premier League titles under his belt, and he's maybe going to be a little bit happier going forward. Calvin Phillips is going to be older. Declan Rice is going to be older. We're going to have such a Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to be a senior, well, not a senior player, but he's going to be older.
Yeah,
we've got a really good, promising squad. Hopefully, hopefully Dean Henderson has a bit more international experience before the next World Cup too. Right now, the Euros, we've got to focus on that as well. I think we're in a very promising position. Let's be honest. Like we are, we're ready to take on the group. I think we could finish first if we don't mess up. Do we want to finish first? Maybe not, because you look at the group of death, the second place in the group of death that we have to face. Either it's going to be Germany or Portugal or France. It could be either. It could be any of those three. Let's be honest. Or Hungary could surprise us all and finish second. Fingers crossed. But then we have the the chance of a Euro 2016 happening, where we got knocked out to one of the worst teams in the actual tournament. So I think that it's going to be tough. Everyone looks back at the Euros. Oh, we got to the semi-finals. We didn't have a real challenge on the route to. We had to play Sweden, who were they were okay. We played Colombia. They took us to penalty shootouts. Now we won we won a penalty shootout. And then we got stuck with Croatia, one of the best world-class midfielders in Luka Modric, and we got stumped.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to happen again. We've got a battle-tested team. We've got depth, a lot of depth now. But I think the round of 16 is going to be the real challenge. Obviously we've got Croatia, we got past them. We need to get past the Czech Republic. Scotland aren't that big of a challenge, but in saying that, they're going to probably come for us. They're going to want blood, because obviously they're kind of on the same. We're in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a real test. It's going to be really interesting. But I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to stay with the 3 lions on my shirt, celebrating like it's Brexit all over again, and we move from there.
Yeah, there we go, guys. Well, you will have to keep up to date with us, see our opinions on the next phase of the games. Obviously, we're going to be keeping you updated on our Instagram, Twitter, that kind of the usual areas. And if you have forgotten, because we have been away for a couple of weeks, on Instagram, we are The Average Pundits, and on Twitter, we are Pundits Average. And if you want to get in touch with us to potentially be on the podcast, give us some Euro opinions, we are The Average Pundits at outlook.com. And if you listen to this on your favorite streaming service, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whether that be Google Podcasts, wherever you get your streaming services, give us a follow on there and you will be updated on when we release our new episodes. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please give us the all-important like and subscribe. It will help us out an awful lot. We are hoping to keep going with the positivity of the second season of the Average Pundits. We're hoping to keep going and having some very positive stuff coming along the way.
Vibes.
Indeed.
Vibe checks, City.
So as always, Reece, thank you very much for joining me, mate.
No worries. It's always good to, I do think this is the most interesting football it has been for a long time. The Premier League winner was very, it was decided a long time ago.
Yeah.
The last day of the season was very fun. The transfer window's just open, but international football now is where it's at, and it's going to be a very, very fun time.
It is indeed. Well, there we go, guys. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
For the latest football content, subscribe to The Average Pundits on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite streaming service and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.